Ready to decorate your cookies? Here's what's in your box. There's instructions, sprinkles, 4 bags of icing, and cookies. In this kit, there's 2 in each bag. Read the instructions carefully and then gather your supplies. You'll need sharp scissors, and I'm using a scribe tool, but you can use a toothpick. We're going to start with our donut, and so we'll be using our brown icing first. We're going to start with cutting a small hole in the tip of the tipless piping bag. Make sure the seam of the bag is at the top and you cut a tiny hole. You can always cut bigger, but you can't cut smaller. So start with outlining around the perimeter of the heart-shaped donut. Apply even pressure and let the icing follow you around the perimeter. Once you finish outlining, you can use the scribe tool to fix any imperfections in your icing. You can also use it to maneuver your cookies around your workspace. Don't grab the sides of your cookie. You might dent your icing. Next, we're going to outline our ice cream cone. So again, using the brown icing, start at one corner and follow the perimeter around. Once you're finished with that, use your toothpick or your scribe tool to grab your cupcake, and we're going to start with using our red icing. Making sure that the seam of the tipless bag is up facing you, grab your scissors and cut a tiny hole in the red bag to outline the cupcake wrapper. Start at the far left corner, apply even pressure, and outline the perimeter of the cupcake wrapper. Whoops, I made a mistake. No problem, just use your scribe tool or your toothpick to remove that icing and then start over where you left off. Next, we're going to be working with our pink icing, so go ahead and cut the bag the way you've done with the other ones. We're going to give the cupcake icing a little bit of dimension, so I'm adding a little pattern in here, and we're going to alternate which section we flood. Letting each section in between the other dry in between will allow for some dimension, and it's going to look like you have some really nice frosting on top of this cupcake. Grab your red icing and add a nice little cherry on top. I cut the tip of the tipless bag on the pink icing a little bit bigger. When you flood, you want to apply a little bit more pressure and you want a little bit more icing to come out. You want to fill each section nice and full, but not too full. Flood sections on the cupcake icing by alternating sections. So skip one in between. This allows each section to dry before we flood the other one. This will allow for dimension. You can use your scribe tool or your toothpick to poke the cookie and give it a nice little shimmy. This just helps the flood settle nice and smooth. Cutting a little bit larger of a hole in the brown icing bag, we're going to go ahead and flood our donut and the bottom section of the ice cream cone. Working on small sections on different cookies at a time allows icing to dry in between steps. Finally, we're going to be working with our white icing. Cut it the same way you've been cutting the other bags. We're going to outline the ice cream scoop part of our ice cream cone. We're going to flood the top section right away. I'm not cutting the hole any bigger on this one, I'm just applying a little bit more pressure. Back to our cupcake, we're going to be taking our red icing and flooding in the wrapper. I'm adding some polka dots on this wrapper, so I'm going to take my white icing, and I always start in the middle when I do polka dots. I'm going to start right in the middle, and then I'm going to work my way out. You can do whatever pattern you'd like. Use your creativity. This is called the wet on wet method, where you take wet icing and you add it right on top of another layer of wet icing. Time to flood in the remaining sections on the pink cupcake. You'll start to see the definition, and it looks like nice swirly frosting. Let's go back to our ice cream cone. Now we're going to be adding some lines on top of the cone. So take the brown icing and go diagonal and add lines, and then switch directions. This is going to give it the waffle cone look. And then flood in the top little rectangle on the cone. Now we're going to take our white and we're going to flood in that bottom section on the scoop. Now the fun part, we're going to be taking our pink icing and adding some pink sauce right on the top of that vanilla ice cream cone. Flood it in nicely, and then we're going to add some sprinkles. Taking our pink icing again, we're going to be adding the frosting onto our heart-shaped donut. So have fun with this part. It doesn't need to look perfect. Use your scribe or your toothpick to pop any bubbles or maneuver icing however you see fit. Then add sprinkles to your liking on top of your donut. At this point, you've completed your cookies. But if you want to give your ice cream cone a little bit more texture, let your cookies dry for 15 minutes or so, just enough for the icing to crust over. Then take your scribe or your toothpick and kind of just crunch up that bottom part on the ice cream. It just adds a little bit of really cool texture. Thanks for decorating cookies with me. Hope to see you next time. Bye!